What a good day. What a wonderful thing you're doing here.
We need to find more formats like you're doing now to keep this going now, and also when we get back.
Everything in those comments is so empowering, so supportive, so beautiful, and that is what we do in the room every month.
This was not 100% what I expected, which is good.
People will really, really need it.
It's really important to us to use Singular Sensation, yes, as a safe gathering place, but also as a place to amplify and support and offer a safe space too.
How did you get so good at this?
Happy Pride and welcome to Singular Sensation Online. I'm your host, Jenny Walls. My pronouns are she, her, and oh my God, you guys, do we have an episode for you? Woo! We have some really awesome conversations in store for you, and I'm so excited for you to check them out tonight. We will be chatting tonight with writer-performer Anna Binder and performance and visual artist Jacob McKinnon. Now, the coolest things about these conversations is they are just stripped down, so stripped down, in fact, that we are talking no makeup, pajama bottoms, and just getting into it. Honest, vulnerable, authentic, intimate, and I am so here for it. I know you are going to be inspired, informed, and you are going to love them, I hope, as much as I loved talking to them. We also have an amazing drag makeup tutorial with
Gila Munster.
So break out those caboodles. We are also going to be joined by Ryan G. Hines to tell us a bit about the Canadian Pride movement and to give us some of the history. Also tonight, one of our very own interns from the David Gardner Apprenticeship Fund cast will be taking the screen, telling us a bit about their work with the LGBT youth line and giving you some information on how you can get in touch with them if you're in need of a little bit of support. And of course, what would Singular be without performances? Not only will Jacob McKinnon be chatting with us tonight, but they will also be sharing a beautiful and intimate performance with us. We'll also be featuring the brand new video "See" by Selena, and we'll feature a performance from our very good friend, performance artist Gay Jesus. They have a brand new piece that they have shared with us. Also throughout the show, we'll be seeing some familiar faces from our community sharing with us what Pride means to them. We're so thrilled to have you join us tonight. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Monday evening or whenever you're tuning in with us. If you don't already follow us on the social media, please give us a follow on the Instagram at @singular_sensation. We are also on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. We also have a very exciting announcement coming up later in the show, so do not go anywhere. Tonight is jam-packed full of ferocity. I am here for it. I hope you will stick around. So let's get on with the show.
Time when I was so broken hearted, love wasn't much of a friend of mine. The tables have turned, yeah, cause me and the ways have parted. That kind of love was the killing kind. So listen, need to know I'm well. I got kids. I was crying when I met you. Now I'm trying to forget you. Never sweet misery. I was crying just to get you. Now I'm dying 'cause I let you do what you do down on me. Now there's not even breathing room between pleasure and pain. Yeah, you cry when we're making love. Must be one and the same. It's down on me. Yeah, I got to tell you one thing. It's been on my mind. Girl, I gotta stay. We're partners in crime. You got that certain something. What you give to me takes my breath away. Lord, I'm on the street. It's the devil's in your kiss. If I let go of me, friends, it's a fire I can't resist. I was crying when I met you. Now I'm trying to forget you. Your love is sweet misery. I was crying just to get you. Now I'm dying 'cause I let you do what you do. Should stay. Yeah, I know, she love, I know, till you give your head away. Yeah, I was crying when I met you. Now I'm trying to forget you. Your love is sweet misery. I was crying just to get you. Now I die. Do what you do now, tell baby, baby, baby.
I celebrate Pride because when you're born straight, you don't have to come out of the closet. And I celebrate Pride because it's important to reflect on how far we've come as a community and how far we still have to go. How much work there is still to be done. There are so many places in the world still today in 2021 where you could be put in prison or even put to death, depending on where you are, just for being gay or lesbian, or trans, just for being true to who you are. And it isn't right. I celebrate Pride because I will never pass up an opportunity to shamelessly self-promote and be visible. And I think that it's important for me to be visible because the LGBTQ2S plus community is bigger and more diverse than what you see on television and in movies. And it's important as a member of this community to feel pride, the kind of pride that is antithetical to the shame that we are often told we should be feeling just for being who we are. And that is what pride means to me.
Hey, I'm Jordan Shore, co-creator and founder of Drag Pins. My boyfriend and I started the company a couple years ago when we didn't have much to do. We were obsessed with pins and we loved all things drag queens. So we currently have about 7 pins in our collection, all custom designed. We even outsourced some help from a couple local artists to help design some of the pins. But pretty much the inspiration comes from our favorite drag queens, favorite sayings, little things on the show. All the pins are super good quality. These 2 pins are actually designed by Daisy Prince, who's a local artist in Toronto, 2 of our most successfully selling pins. Some fun sequins in the design as well. Everything is just super glittery, super gay, super showy, and perfect to show off for your Pride at home. Pride Month has always resonated so much with me and my partner. We look forward to Pride every year, and we're so excited to be featured on this special episode of Singular Sensation. We're so glad that we can have a company that supports queer culture and that's accepted by a community, and people love seeing people expressing themselves. We wear our pins with pride. The pins are all $10 a piece. We will be offering a deal for Pride Month as well, a little bit of a discount going on, so make sure you check out the collection on the SideBiz website. Thank you so much for the support, and we hope you have a fabulous, gorgeous Pride Month, babes. Woo!
Pride means to me is unity, a sense of togetherness, and celebrating who we are on all levels: gender identity, sexuality, race, color, faith, what have you. And it's wonderful.
The way we connected was through our friend Olivia Daniels with Artists in Residence, who we love here at the show. And I know that you and I have very similar feelings on, I call her a magical unicorn. And she, when we were chatting a while back about, you know, the June episode of the show, the talk show, she was like, you need to meet Anna, this is their monologue, like, check it out. I told her, I said, I got halfway through the monologue and I was like, I need their email address. We need to make this happen. So can you tell me a bit about like the monologue that you submitted for Unravel? I know we talked about you wanting to be a writer, to write for characters and shows and TV one day, which I absolutely think you should. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. But while we're in the present.
Yeah, it was definitely that my realization that in retrospect, I don't actually know how many times I was being judged or how many times I was assuming I was being judged. I don't actually know where that line is. Like, this didn't end up making it into the monologue, but there was this incident in elementary school, and I have multiple sclerosis. And for a long time, my diagnosis was, well, maybe girls are just dramatic and maybe it's a growth spurt and Anna's just kind of a klutz. And I used to like walk, and my mom would tell me about, you know, this time that she was coming to get me. And she saw me walking, and then I just careen into a wall out of nowhere, and I just shake it off and I just keep going. And I'm like, well, it is the way it is. But my teacher turned to my mom and said, why does she do that? My mom said, I don't know. And we didn't know for a long time. And I have this memory that really sticks with me of this teacher that I really, really loved, coming and pulling me aside and having me stay inside one day during lunchtime recess. And she took me down to the library, and she had a calendar, and she had marked all the days on the calendar that I had called into the school sick. And we didn't know that that was because of, like chronic fatigue or MS flare-ups back then, because we didn't know that's what I had. But there would be some days where I was so exhausted that I couldn't move. Or I would be so out of it because, things are damaged and then repairing itself takes a little bit. But I'd be so out of it because all of my energy is going into repairing the thing that my body was just like, because it's autoimmune disease, which is means that sometimes your body's like, oh my God, we should punch ourselves on purpose. But yeah, so I was so exhausted sometimes that I was just completely out of it. So mom would be like, okay, we should stay home. And we didn't have an explanation. We just knew something's not right. So we'd say, it's a headache. And I remember her sitting me down and showing me this calendar of all the days that I had been sick, and her asking, so what was it this day? And what was it this day? And what was it this day? And I didn't have an answer for her. And to this day, I don't know, was she asking me because she was concerned, or was she trying to call me out? I have no idea. And I think a lot of my queer experience, when I was a teenager, is very similar to that, in that I did a lot of assuming that people were going to have a negative reactions. So I don't actually know how much was it intentional bullying, or how much was it people that think that they're joking around with you. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult to find that line of did they hate me, or did I sort of assume that they did and then sat alone because of that?
Wow. Yeah.
I know that I was really scared to come out to my parents, and I was really scared to come up to my baba, that's my dad's mom, and my great aunt, my baba's sister. But when I came out to all of them, the answer was basically oh, okay. I was so scared though, because all of the media that I was being exposed to at the time was very much if you are the gay, people will not be happy with it, which somehow in my mind I was got it. So everyone's going to hate me, and I'm going to be out on the street, and that's where I will live. And I'll one day I'll write a book about it when I'm 63. But other than that, everyone's going to hate me if they find out I'm gay. And that wasn't what happened at all. I wish I could talk to tiny me and be chill out. It's fine. And also I'd love that opportunity to redo some things and think about what were other people's given circumstances that they came into that room with that attitude with. Because I think that everyone's kind of hurt by high school. And also a bit of that culture of ha, I got him, I really burned him. That was also a big thing, and it's still a big thing, and it's always been a big thing because everyone wants to feel like they won one. And I felt like people were winning one on me a lot, and I don't know if that's actually what was happening or not, and there's no way to really go back and know for sure. Sure. So that was part of my experience.
I feel that so much in that. Is that what was happening, or is that what I perceived was happening, and that's what I acted on? And I think when we're afraid of something because we know our truth, it's am I afraid of them knowing my truth and judging me, or or not accepting me? So I'm assuming that that's just what it is, and that's what I acted on, rather than was that that negotiation of, is that what happened, or is that what I thought? Is that what's happening? Is that what I think? I feel that you're so insightful, and you're so wise to me. You were so wise. And I just appreciate you sharing. this with me, with us. Like, this is why I love what I do. If we can keep having conversations like this and keep making work like what you're doing with your writing and keep putting that out there, what do you hope that people, I guess, take away from your writing and your work?
If there's anything that they take away, I hope that when they look at themselves, they sit there and go, don't give up on the possibility of things being better. Don't let bad things that happen make you become cynical, in the sense of like secluding yourself and shutting other people in the world off. Like, keep your heart open. And I, like, as a writer and as an actor as well, like, I want the things that I do to be asking people to like empathize with someone that doesn't have the exact same experiences as them, and to also like maybe find themselves in that.
It's like, you're such a delight. Like, I'm obsessed with you just a little bit. And I'm so glad we got to meet and have this chat. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Anna, thank you.
Thank
Where
you.
can people find you? If people want to see your stuff or learn more about you, where can people find you?
Yeah, I am MSing with you on all the things. It's a multiple sclerosis pun because I put the ick in chronic. MSINGWU. I'm on TikTok. I am going to make a Facebook and be an adult about it, so I will exist there as well.
Amazing. I wish all of the amazing, wonderful, magical things for you, and I can't wait to see more of your work and keep track of what you're up to, because I think you were just extraordinary.
Thank you.
Pride to me has always been a genuine expression of self. I came out relatively late. I am very fortunate that it was pretty painless, and I know that's not everybody's story. And it's not lost on me that the shoulders that I stand on are immense and pretty painful stories. So I am constantly grateful.
Hi, I'm Cass. I'm one of the interns with the Singular Sensation team working this summer, which is wonderful. And in honor of Pride this June, we wanted to kind of talk about different things that have gone in the past and in the future and right now that are happening with the beautiful Pride community. And one of those organizations that I work with currently is Youthline, which is a peer support line for LGBTQ plus youth age 16 to 29 who live in Ontario, which is a mouthful for what our mandate is, but essentially we provide direct peer-to-peer support for any queer youth going through what they're going through. So if you're 13 and you're discovering new terms for the first time in your life, or if you're 25 and figuring out how to negotiate a relationship and family dynamic, we're there to be able to talk to you and just sit and chill and figure out how life can work in your own way. So the way you can kind of find us, which is wonderful, is youthline.ca is the easiest way to kind of chat. You can either chat through text or through the chat function online. And then we also have a call line. So our chat hours are Sunday to Friday, 4 to 9:30. And then our call hours are the same days and 6 to 9. We're hoping to expand a little bit more in the future, but those updates will come. We're on Instagram and all those lovely platforms out there. But youthline.ca is a perfect place to find us and find support if you need it.
Hi, Sing Sensation. It's me, Selena Vile / Nikki Nasrallah. Listen, I am here to tell you that what Pride means to me is education and knowing where you came from. There are so many resources out there, including Making Gay History podcast, which I highly recommend, which has interviews with the people who were there, including Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson. I recommend go listen to those so that we know that Pride isn't just a parade. It is still absolutely a protest as it began, and our rights are not 100% around the world yet, so we still have to fight. And that's what it's all about. So educate yourselves this Pride.
And now, with a Heritage Minute, it's Ryan G. Hines.
Hello, Singular Sensation, and happy Pride to all of us, to all of our friends in the Singular community, all of our colleagues, everybody everywhere. Happy Pride from me to you. I thought I would give you a little lesson in the history of Pride in Canada. A lot of us know about the history of Stonewall and how the Pride movement in the States started, but here is a little Canadian spin on things. In 1971, the first Pride celebrations were held in Canada. They were small celebrations in Ottawa and in Vancouver, celebrating the community and advocating for equal rights for everybody. 1 year later, Toronto held its very first Pride celebration. It was a picnic on the islands. Can you imagine? That actually sounds pretty cool, pretty community-minded and small and fun and intimate. It was organized by the University of Toronto Homophile Association, Toronto Gay Action Now, and the Community Homophile Association of Toronto. Homophile, what a word. 9 years later, on February 1st, 1981, history took a pretty dark turn. Toronto police arrested almost 300 men in a raid on 4 bathhouses spread across the city. This was just the latest in a historically ongoing series of aggressions from Toronto police against the queer community. The next evening, the community fought back in a historic riot and protest. You can learn all about this if you Google it. It's on Wikipedia. It's on so many encyclopedias and so many books and media articles. It's a really, really wonderful and fascinating occurrence of the community rising up as one and saying no more shit. The 1981 raids and the protests that followed led to the establishment of Lesbian and Gay Pride Day in Toronto. That very first one, later that same year, attracted a crowd of 1,500 people. 1,500 then, over 1 million now. You could say Pride in Toronto's grown a bit. It's interesting that the city of Toronto actually didn't endorse Pride Day until later in the 90s, which is surprising when you think about it, because now Pride is something that we all take for granted. We all know it's coming, we plan our schedule around it, and so many parts of the city, so many businesses and organizations and levels of government get involved with it. Relations between the queer community and Toronto Police Services can still sometimes be tenuous at best. In addition to the 1981 raids, Toronto Police have continued to antagonize the queer community throughout the years, both in the carrying out of the regular duties, as well as raids against the Pussy Palace in 2000 and the Marie Curtis park sting in 2016. None of the charges in either of those cases stuck, and both of them turned out to be an enormous waste of police resources, time, money, energy, and all pretty much for nothing, really. What were we prosecuting? Just the lives of gay people and the right to have sex and enjoy our bodies and be a community, which is some of the things that Pride is about. Flash forward to now, when Pride is a massive month-long bacchanal of performance and activism and learning and community and fun and sex and being together and celebrating and marching and parading. Whether you love it more as a small picnic on the island or whether you love it more as the big million-person march that heads down Yonge Street every year. I personally believe Pride is for everybody. I personally believe everybody is welcome at Pride if you come with an open heart and an open mind and a willingness to not judge, and just as importantly, a willingness to learn a little bit of our community history and the willingness to know. To that end, I can recommend this wonderful book I've been reading, Any Other Way, How Toronto Got Queer. It's an essay format, so it's a pretty easy read, and it's so many stories of how Toronto got queer, the origins of Pride, various marches and demonstrations and parties and communities and events through the years. If you're interested at all in our community's history, it's really worth picking up and really worth a read. So because, you know, my grandfather was a teacher and my mother was a teacher, I'm going to assign everybody a little bit of homework this year, this Pride. Maybe pick up Any Other Way, have a little read, maybe do a little Google and see what you can learn about Pride here in Toronto and across the rest of Canada. Happy Pride, everybody.
Let's talk pride. Pride means many things to different people. Hearing the words, "I'm proud of you," from a parent, a friend, a loved one, a teacher, or maybe a mentor, under those circumstances, those words can be words of acknowledgement, encouragement, and a recognition of something you've achieved. Reaching the point of being proud of yourself, however, goes much further. The meaning of pride, of course, may differ among different members in our beautifully diverse community. One thing we may all have in common, however, is that we have stepped forward knowing we are different. We're individual, and we know we deserve to be accepted, and we deserve to belong. Whether we were there in the beginning, marching and fighting for our right to be accepted and acknowledged, or you continue the fight by coming out or being there for others to come out. Doing so, showing we are not ashamed of who we are. You have then become part of what Pride Month is all about. To all who are part of this community, to all our families and friends who support us, and to all our much needed and much loved allies, no matter who you are, where you come from, or how you identify, have a very happy, healthy, and safe Pride Month, because you deserve it.
This is Hiding My Heart, originally by Bob Dylan and then covered by Adele. This is how the story went. I met someone by accident who blew me away, And it was in the darkest of my days when I took my sorrow, when I took my pain and buried them away. I buried them away. I wish I could lay down beside you when the day is done and wake up to your face against the morning sun. But like everything I've ever known, you disappear one day. So I spend my whole life hiding my heart away, away. I dropped you off at the train station, put a kiss on top of your head, watched you wave, watched you wave. Then I ran on home to my skyscrapers and neon lights and waiting papers that I call home. I call that home. I wish I could lay down beside you when the day is done and wake up to your face against the morning sun. But like everything I've ever known, you disappear one day. So I spend my whole life hiding my heart away. And I woke up feeling, oh, not yet. Okay, here we go. Woke up feeling heavy-hearted. I'm going back to where I started. The morning rain, the morning rain. Though I wish that you were here on that same old road that brought you here. It's calling me home. It's calling me home. I wish I could lay down beside you when the day is done and wake up to your face against the morning sun. But like everything I've ever known, you disappear one day. So I spend my whole life hiding my heart away. I can't spend my whole life hiding my heart away. Okay, let's keep that take live. We miss live. We'll just let it be.
So I think it's really cool that we're doing this from our rooms, you know, fairly subdued. Because I think when you think of Pride, you think of excess and getting all done up and getting all, you know, ready to go out and celebrate, which of course, but really when you dig down to the heart of it, Pride is all about being proud of who you are when all of that gets taken off at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've had nothing but like a year of self-reflection and having to be comfortable just being in ourselves and being with ourselves. I don't think it's by chance that my kind of gender expression and identity journey happened while we were in lockdown. Because it gave me a chance to really think and to really process and be okay with my thoughts and being alone. And you know, when you can't go to someone for advice and support, like when you just have to be with yourself, it's crazy what can be revealed. And so that's been massive.
We work in an industry where we're so productivity driven or productivity pressured, I think is maybe a more accurate way of saying it. And then when we take all that away, what do I do with this? Are my other skills even existent? Because it's so based on doing the work, getting the work, keeping the work, staying relevant, and all of that stuff. But it's like, who am I when that gets taken away?
Yes, that is the huge. You know what? I was at home with my family in Whitby. I was just sitting there, and I turned to my mom and I go, "Who are you when what you do is who you are, and you can't do that anymore?" Who are you? Like, for so long, I attached the identity of the artist and what I did with who I am. But again, it's that this is the silver lining kind of this whole mess is okay, really, who are you? Like, what happens one day if like you lose your legs or like you lose your voice? Like, is that it? Are you done? Like, are you giving up? Or are there other things to do? Can you be helpful and creative in a different way? Of course, my fallback always is visual art. Like I always go back to, because I always say, if I'm not creating, I'm destroying, and it's usually myself I'm destroying. So I have to have an outlet, or else I'll go insane. That idea of this like identity crisis is like so real, because like we're treading water, and if we're not busy, we feel like we're like, you know.
We're in a, you know, still in a really traumatic, difficult time en masse. How are you taking care of yourself?
As a self-destructive Aries, Pisces rising, I sometimes forget to take care of myself. But a huge thing is cutting down on drinking. I find even just like my skin is so much better. Drinking water, I mean, it's insane. Like because I also do stuff with depression and anxiety, like you find sometimes that your inner saboteur is telling you that you don't deserve to feel good,
or you can't trust feeling good. But even something as little as like, my mom is a nurse and she's always like, just go for a walk. And I go, okay. So I, put on my friggin' whatever outfit and put on my mask and put on my hat and I go for a walk. And I mean, I hate to say it, but it literally works. Like just getting the blood flowing, getting some sunshine. These are the things I try my best to do when I'm up to being nice to myself and talking to people.
It's hard. Isn't it funny how I find self-care very difficult myself, because I'm still making that transition of I am not what I do. I am not what I achieve. I am not what other people think of me, which is tricky. And I think what's so great about this time right now is the conversations, the realizations, the breaking of that generational sort of trauma. It's interesting when you're given that sort of narrative for so long. It's like, well, do I deserve to take care of myself? And why is it so difficult? And it's my hope that we can switch that.
Taking care of yourself is tough, especially if you instinctively think you don't deserve it.
You've mentioned the journey that you've been on since the first lockdown happened 5,000 years ago. And you were part of the beautiful, beautiful production of Alice in Wonderland. And congratulations. It was stunning.
Thank you.
I'm such a fan of every single person involved in that production. But you made a post on social media when you had just started rehearsals about your very first day in the space. And it was very significant, like on a number of levels, especially since we haven't been in spaces.
Yeah, I mean, it was, that was my first time in a theater, introducing myself with my new pronouns, which are they, them. And it felt incredible and euphoric. But I will say, what I didn't realize, because it's one thing just to be like, hi, I'm Jacob, my pronouns are they, them on Facebook, and just get love and likes. And then it's like, oh, okay. But then in context with people you've known for years who are amazing. They're doing the work. They're really, it's like, I couldn't have asked for a better community to be on this journey with. But I didn't realize the gender dysphoria that would happen, being misgendered all day, feeling the energy of someone who's afraid to misgender you, can be really exhausting. But I found that at the end of the day, it was worth it. It will take a bit of time, because it's not an instant part of people's vocabulary. It's like they have to like switch around some things in their head, but practice makes perfect. I even myself, like, I'm like, I can't just expect people to use my correct pronouns and then not do the work for correcting myself when I misgender other people. So realizing that just the work you put in is the work you're going to get. I mean, that specific group of people, so loving, so kind. And by the end of the journey, it was that feeling of euphoria again. And kind of knowing like, this is who I am. This feels good. Him doesn't make sense in my body. It just doesn't. It feels like a stab. And so I'd rather, go through this journey, because I think the results are worth the process. The process is worth the results. Anyway, whatever.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's really important. I know a lot of the times we have conversations like this on the show, which we're really, really lucky to have been able to have some really great ones. What we keep hearing is just try. You don't have to be perfect. Just try.
Of course. And just reassuring allies, like, don't be afraid to fuck up. But I think meet halfway, right? Like, we have to have a certain amount of understanding. Like, I know it's frustrating, to feel like you don't take up space in the world, or people don't agree. Like, I mean, I have quite a conservative family and they don't really understand it. And so I get he, him, my son, like constantly. And it's difficult, especially it's difficult being treated like kind of, your identity isn't real, and it's just like, then you start to feel like, oh, I'm such a burden, like I hate, it's like I already came out once and they've already have to deal with me once and now they have to do it again, and like, but it's like, no, the right ones will be there and will stick with it, and you have to understand too that it's going to take a little bit of patience. Actually, I had this thought when we were speaking earlier. I think, you know, this idea of like cancel culture and this fear of not being perfect or saying the wrong thing. I think social media has had such a big part in putting itself unhealthily in our brains, that we're always like on and we're always being a good ally and always. So I think those moments happen between the posts. Offline, when you're on your own, you really do have to allow yourself to grieve, because really in the end, it's like, if you don't help mother, you can't help the baby. So regardless of what you're going through, yeah, it can always be worse, but you have to acknowledge the pain you're feeling, because you're feeling it for a reason, and to not acknowledge it, you'll just go insane, and then you're not going to be a help to anyone. So really, if the goal in the end is to be of service or to be of use and to be of help, you have to acknowledge the pain you're feeling.
Jacob, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to come on and for coming on to chat. It's so good to see you. You just,
Likewise.
I adore you. Any last words to our viewers, listeners, that you'd like to share? The space is yours.
To everyone right now struggling with their gender identity, just know a lot of people are going through it as well. Have patience with yourself and have patience with the people around you, and don't be afraid to explore. Okay, so coming up for Pride, I will be in the Bloom. Bloom stage is doing an hour set of artists from around Toronto. So it's spoken word, original tunes. I'm doing Another Winter in a Summer Town from Grey Gardens, and I dress up as Little Edie and sing it in her key. And so that's on the 20th, I believe, between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. And then we recorded it this week, but I'm going to be with Shalina Kennedy, Kelly Holliff, and Mark Cassius at MCC Toronto's Pride celebration. So that'll be on the 27th, and I'm singing the hardest song I've ever sung in my entire life, which is The Show Must Go On by Queen. And I'm also doing premiering it's the Tweed concert.
Yeah.
So
yeah, last episode.
I'm going to be debuting my next single that I'm going to be releasing later on in the summer. So that's on the 12th of this month.
Amazing.
That's everything.
You are just a luminous human, and I'm so grateful we got the chance to chat. Thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability, your authenticity. You are just so inspiring, and I'm so grateful we had this time together. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks, girl. You're the best.
You're the best.
She's the one I've been looking for. She's the one I love. She's the one that won't be ignored. She's so far above, much more than meets the eye. She touches me deep inside. That girl I wanna be. She sets my soul free. She's iconic, snatched iconic, legendary everywhere she is. Iconic, she's an icon. And don't know how she does it every time. But there's no one in the world like this queen.
Pride means freedom. It means self-affirmation, visibility, and community. And we know that Pride started as a riot, and we have so much that we owe to those Black and brown, queer and trans folks who came before us and fought for our rights. And we have so much left to do. And so much of this month to me is also about uplifting and amplifying Indigenous, Black and brown queer voices, folks of color, amplifying queer businesses, checking in with friends and family, and really coming together in celebration. Be proud. Happy Pride.
In May of 2021, the bodies of 215 Indigenous children were discovered buried in an unmarked mass grave on the grounds of a former residential school in so-called Kamloops, British Columbia. These children were taken by force from their families at a young age with the intention of erasing their Indigenous culture. This is not just a dark chapter in Canada's history. While the last residential school closed in 1996, the oppression of the First Peoples of this land continues in the form of no clean drinking water in Indigenous communities, forced sterilization of Indigenous women and girls. The list goes on. It is our duty as settlers on this unceded land to use our voice and our privilege directly afforded to us by the oppression and colonization of this land's First Peoples to demand justice and real truth and reconciliation from our government, and to hold the institutions responsible for these atrocities to account. June is National Indigenous History Month, and in the show notes below, we've included some links to some resources where you can learn more about the residential school system, about our Indigenous communities, and some organizations that you can lend your support to either through donations or in other non-monetary ways. In addition to making a donation to the 519 for Pride, Singular Sensation will also be making a donation to the Indigenous Residential School Survival Society. We've also included a link to the free Indigenous Studies course at the University of Alberta. You may think that your voice or your small actions won't make any difference, but there are no actions too small. But no action is not an option. This is our responsibility to make this change and to bring justice to our Indigenous communities. We invite you now to join us for a moment of silence.
You have had too many falls. Feels like nothing goes your way. I can see it in your eyes. Life has made it hard for you. But if only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see. So you keep pushing. You have had too many falls. Feels like nothing goes your way. I can see it in your eyes. Life has made it hard for you. But if only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. If only you could see what I see, I see, I So you keep on pushing. So you keep on pushing. We got life. Got life. Got life. So you keep on. We got life. Got life. Resilience and patience is key. We got life. Got life. Got life. That is how we're supposed to be. We got life. Got life. Resilience and patience is key. Resilience and patience is key.
When I think of pride, I think about being proud, ownership of who you are, resilience, resourcefulness, and beauty. When I think of pride, I think of Lion Pride. I think of community, family. I think of togetherness. When I think of Pride LGBTQ+, I think of revolution. I think of progress. I think of love.
Shalom to all my beautiful Hebrews, Shebrews, and They-Brews. My name is Gila Monster. I am Richmond Hill's premier Israeli Jewish drag superstar by default, and I'm so excited to be celebrating Pride with Singular Sensation. Bow. From the depth of my basement, I'm going to be bringing you some makeup magic for how to transform from this to the monster that we know and love. So I'm going to do that little thing where we cut away, and let's get started. Okay, so now that the hair is out of the way and we are ready and primed, we're going to get started with removing the brows, because drag makeup is all about removing things that shouldn't be there and drawing them back on where we want them to be. So my brows are currently quite low on my face. My drag brows are going to go quite high, so right about there. So we really need to eliminate the brow before we can draw it back on. For that, I'm going to use a Disappearing Purple glue stick. You can get these on Amazon for packs of like 10. And then I'm also going to use a powder foundation. This one is from Nude by Nature. It's a nice Australian brand. It's more on the natural side. And then you also need a powder puff. This one is from NYX. And we're going to do 4 layers of glue. So I'm going to get started. The first layer of glue, we're doing circular motions over and under the hairs. And all subsequent layers will go straight up, so not to disturb the texture of the hairs. Now, you want to use a brow spoolie, which basically looks like a clean mascara brush, kind of like that. And we're going to push the hairs flush against the forehead. This first layer is really critical, so take your time if you haven't had 2 years of experience gluing your brows. And make sure that you aren't really disturbing the brows at this point, so you want to just go up and flush them straight against the skin. And then when the 4th layer is still a little bit damp, that's when we're going to go in with our powder foundation and use that powder puff to really press it in. And that's going to provide us, first of all, a little bit of coverage, but also more importantly, to set that glue so that your brows are going to stay stuck down. Because the last thing you want is when it's hot and humid and you're performing on stage for your brows to be lifting. So now that the brows are covered, it's time to move on to color correcting. And color correcting is one of those techniques that you can use whether you're a drag performer or if you are a regular makeup user. It really just depends on what issues you have with your skin. So if you identify discoloration on your skin, so something like kind of the 5 o'clock shadow or dark circles under your eyes, redness around your nose, that can all be counteracted with color correcting. So essentially it's the idea of using a product first to neutralize any discoloration before you go in with your coverage product. It's not for everybody, but if you have really bad under eye circles, you can definitely use it. For this, I'm going to use the Make Up For Ever 12 Flash Color Case, which is basically a bunch of grease paints. I've had this for no less than 5 years, and you can see how much product you get in this. You can use it for contouring, for highlighting, for lipstick, for eyeshadow, so many different uses. I'm going to dip my finger into this apricot shade, and I'm literally just going to dab it all over my beard and mustache area and just blend it out. And then, because we're using a cream product and we don't want it to mix in with our foundation later, I'm going to use a translucent setting powder to keep it locked in place. And for that, I'm going to use a Ben Nye Neutral Set Powder. And what I really like about that one is that it has an antiperspirant effect. So if you are a performer, it'll make sure that you are not sweating your makeup off when you are dancing your tushy off. So you can use this underneath the eyes, the same color. If you have a little bit of redness around the nose, you can use ever so slight amounts of green, and that'll help to counteract it. You can also use a little bit of purple if you have sallowness in your skin. A lot of different ways to color correct. This one is very useful if you're a drag performer or if you're a trans individual. Great technique to learn. But the important thing is, again, to set it so that it doesn't mix in with your foundation, because orange foundation is not the look unless that is something you're going for, in which case, you do you, boo. It's Pride. Cheers. Okay, now that I'm looking a little bit more like Voldemort, I've blanked out my face with some full coverage foundation. This is the Dior Dream Skin Undercover 24-hour full coverage foundation. This is my favorite foundation. It's so full coverage, it's so long lasting. It's getting discontinued, which I'm taking as an act of hate crime from Dior. So let's just move on to contouring, which is really when we are reshaping the face with highlight and contour, which is dark and light. We're going to fool the eye into thinking that my face is a little bit rounder and smaller than it is by making the forehead a little smaller, the cheekbones a little bit more chiseled, the nose more defined, the jaw a little bit sharper. So basically, we're going to fix God's mistakes with some more of this Make Up For Ever palette and a really dense synthetic brush. I'm going to dip into this brown shade, and I'm going to apply this quite liberally, literally on the face. The shape that we're going for is a number 3, okay? Just like that, or an E. I don't know which way it's going to be reflected on the screen, but we're just going to go right in. Don't be afraid to really pack it on, because when we go in with powder later, it's going to really tone down everything that we're putting on. So this is going to be my contour. And then I'm going to do the opposite of what I'm doing with contour with the highlight. So in the center of the face, that's when I'm going to put this literally white cream. I'm going to use another dense synthetic brush, and I'm going to dab that in those areas, really bring the tops of the cheeks, the tip of the nose, the chin, and the top of the lip forward. Again, it's all about playing with an illusion of light and depth. It really works best from the front, because if I just turn now, you know, a little rough, but it's all going to turn out, I promise. And again, if you think you're putting on a lot, keep putting on more, because it's likely not going to read as much as you think when you're on stage, and especially when you set it all down with powder. Oh wow, I have a lot more makeup on now, and I also have a lot more makeup on my clothes, but that's okay because we're ready to move on to eyeliner. And eyeliner is really what's going to start tying this all together. I've got, you know, face on, I've got a little bit of eyes on, but this is what's going to start really giving us that detail and expression on the face. So liquid eyeliner is a lot of people's bane of existence. They're afraid of it. They think they're going to mess it up. The thing I like to say with liquid liner is if you mess it up, just keep making it bigger. That's not a problem when you're a drag queen. So I'm literally using a $3.99 one from Essence. The number one tip I would say for liquid eyeliner is look straight into the mirror and imagine where the eyeliner is going to be. So your eye, the bottom of your eye, it's not straight. It curves up at the end a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to pretend that that line extends just a little bit further than it does. And that forms my wing, okay? And then it's just a matter of bringing that wing back inside. I think the main problem for most people is that they try to go from the inside out. And you can definitely do this if you had a lot of experience and, you know, you know what your eye shape is and what works for you. But if you're a beginner, starting from the outside of the wing and then working your way inside really allows you to work in sections, and that makes it less intimidating. I also find that these type of eyeliners that you dip into the well rather than a liquid liner, they work a little bit better for what I like to do, because I use so much eyeliner that if I was using a pen one, it would dry up by the time I finish the wing, and I would not get a really opaque black line. So another fun little detail that you can do is you can put a little bit of liner in your crease, and that adds some extra definition. And I'm just going to fill this guy in, and then that's on the other side. And then I'll come back and show you how to do lashes, and I'm almost ready to put on the costume. Okay, the last step in my makeup routine is lashes. So I've got the lips on, the face on, the eyes are really going to open up when I get the eyelashes on. I use these big lashes from Tati Lashes, and I snip them down. That's one of the tricks. With eyelashes, when the strip comes in the box, you need to trim it to your eye. Otherwise, it's gonna look too big, you're gonna have too much hair on the inside, and it's going to look crazy. Me talking about looking crazy, I mean, look at me. So what I do is I apply this Lash Duo glue, and I apply this really in a thick line on the inside of the band. And what I like about this glue is that it dries clear. I know there's people who like the black glues, but I prefer a clear one so that if I make a mistake, you can't really see. And what I'm doing right now is I'm letting the glue get a little bit tacky, like me, and you really have to let the air kind of get at the glue a little bit. If you try to stick this onto your eye before letting it get a little tacky, it's going to slide right off. So because I've already worn this, it's also a little bit shaped. It's curved like this. If you haven't worn your lashes before and they're brand new, you can also just do this to kind of bend them into shape, and that will allow them to really hold the shape when they're on the lash. You have a little bit of playtime when they're on the eye, but really once they dry, they should stay on until you're ready to remove them, which is really easy. It's not going to tear off your lashes. It's not going to be a big deal, I promise. And it's literally as easy as just placing it. And then you can use your fingers or tweezers to adjust the position, but that is essentially the look. And look at the difference that it makes when we have one and when we don't have one. Huge. So you could also, if you wanted to, you could put lashes on the bottom. I find that it makes my eyes look a little bit smaller, so I prefer just the top. Just the top. And I'm gonna put on the other eye, and then I'm gonna get on my costume, and I'll come back to say Happy Pride. All right, everybody, Gila Monster has arrived, and she's blossomed into the beautiful butterfly that she always knew she could be. I'm so excited that I got to spend Pride with you. This has been so much fun. I love putting on makeup. Drag is for everybody. Makeup is for everybody. I hope you get to try some of the things that I showed you today. Enjoy Pride. Be safe, everybody. And if you want to check me out, you can follow me on Instagram, GSI Productions, or you can visit me on Facebook, Gila Monster Queen, and gilamonster.com. Thank you so much for having me, and happy Pride. Bye.
Happy Pride, everybody. It's Pride Month. Happy Pride from Q to Q, the Performers Podcast. What does Pride mean to me? Pride means honoring, celebrating, supporting, recognizing those who have chosen to live out loud with their most authentic voice in their most authentic way, regardless of cultural norms or biases. Today, we celebrate you today and every day. Mwah! Happy Pride, everybody. Mwah.
As we miss open mic, we miss seeing all of you.
I can't even believe how much I've missed you guys.
I feel like I'm living my best Rosie O'Donnell Broadway life right now.
We have our sound check room. We also have the bar.
Thank you guys so much for giving people this platform.
That's very similar to cleaning in a bar.
Yes, but the first one. Yeah, that's a time. So even people in the chat are like, that's times.
Tom Solo.
I just realized I'm in my bedroom.
This is Taboo Broadway edition.
This is the good in the world. We're so glad to be part of it. Thank you.
To me, pride is self-love. And as a trans woman of color, it's such an amazing experience to be able to unburden myself and live my authentic self and not worrying about what other people think and just living my best life. That's pride.
Hey Singular family, Adam Malcolm here, your friendly neighborhood financial consultant and money guy. I want to invite all of you to a free webinar that I'm doing on the 10th of June at 7 p.m. called My Retirement My Way. Like everything that I do in my practice, it is of course done with a little bit of a special bend towards us artists and creatives, and it's going to be talking about kind of how to plan for the retirement that you want, that makes sense to you. So we'll start off with goal planning, go through kind of your cash flow management, saving and investing strategies, planning for risk, and of course, keeping everything as tax efficient as possible. Whether you're at the start of your journey and you want a little bit of information on how to get that plane off the ground, or you've been cruising for a while and you want to optimize things as you get closer to retirement, this webinar is going to be helpful for anyone, no matter what stage they're at. So please join me as my guests on the 10th. It's going to be educational, a lot of fun, and I hope to see you all there.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this very special edition of Singular Sensation Online. An extra special thank you to all of our guests and performers and to all of our community contributors. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your honesty, your authenticity, and your experience with us. We are so grateful to be part of such a generous and inspiring community. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned we had a bit of a surprise announcement for you, and here it is. We are very excited to tell you that we will be launching Singular Sensation, the podcast. We realized in talking with our guests, there is so much more to talk about than we can fit into 10 minutes on the show. So the podcast will feature full-length conversations with our guests that you see right here on the show and other inspiring members of our performing arts community. So keep your eyes and ears open because it is coming your way. I also want to take a moment to officially welcome the two newest members of our Singular Sensation team, coming to us thanks to the David Gardner Apprenticeship Fund for the University of Toronto and Hart House Theatre. We want to welcome Cass Iacovelli and Devney De Silva. They've been working with us for the past few weeks, and they are absolutely fabulous. So fabulous that next month, they'll be the main producers on this show. So you definitely don't want to miss all of the goodness they have in store for you. If you don't already follow us on social media, hit us up at @singular_sensation on Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode. If you have an idea for a show or want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at singularsensationmondays@gmail.com. Thank you all so much again for joining us. Happy Pride, everyone. And don't forget to join us for our open mic Zoom party with the new local, the third Monday of the month. So come join us in the Zoom where it happens, Zoom where it happens, Zoom where it happens. Okay, clearly I'm a little too inspired by the show. So I'm just going to take all this energy and, well, I got my dancing shoes on now, so I'm going to go dance to some flash dance, I think. That seems like the right move. Happy Pride, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. You are loved. We adore you. And we'll see you next month. Bye for now.
Live in my house, I'll be your shelter. Just pay me back 1,000 kisses. Be my lover, and I'll cover you. Oh. Open your door, I'll be your tent. Don't got much baggage to lay at your feet, but sweet kisses I've got to spare. I'll be there and I'll cover you. I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it, and at least you are my love. On life, be my life. Hey. Just slip me on, I'll be your blanket. Wherever, whatever, I'll be your coat. You'll be my king, and I'll be your castle. Baby, you'll be my queen, and I'll be your moat. I think they meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it, and at least you are my love. All life, all my life, I belong to discover something as true as it seems. So with 1,000 sweet kisses, when you're cold and you're lonely, with 1,000 sweet kisses, you've got one go lonely, with 1,000 sweet kisses. When you're worn out, I'll cover you with 1,000 sweet kisses. When you're hurt, I'll cover you. Oh, lover, I'll cover you, yeah.